Go. All right. Do you do your Revelations episodes on YouTube, Ryve, or are they on Twitch?
Just on Twitch.
Okay.
I've thought about doing restream like everybody else is doing, and I did for a while, but I don't know. Just on Twitch for now.
Sure. That is the wrong spot.
And I'm bad about doing them every week.
Yeah, I saw yours. You canceled yours this week, so I was just curious.
Yeah. Yep. I need to get more consistent with it. That's kind of my plan as we head into Alpha 2 is to try to be consistent with that.
Yep.
But we'll see. We'll see. I say that a lot, and then life gets in the way. So
I've been trying so hard to get back consistently, and it's tough right now. So I'm just doing what I can when I can.
Yeah. Oh yeah, especially in your situation. Yeah.
Yeah. Once this thing happens, then everything frees up quite a bit until move-in day. So I'm looking forward to that. But right now it's just in and out, in and out.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, my settings are pretty much good to go. I'm just gonna get it posted in Discord, and then
Okay.
that'll be good. Welcome on in, everybody. Appreciate you guys.
Blap, what's going on? Penumbral. That's what she said? Yes, that is what she said.
Yeah. Speaking of Revelations, Ashes of Relation was my first guest, Mr. Burns here.
Yeah.
He went in detail. Somehow we got on the subject of scrotoplasties, and he went in detail on how all that goes down. So it was interesting.
Well, I'll be honest, I don't know anything about scrotoplasty, so I will not be asking you any questions on what you learned. So
Yeah, well, I remember a few parts very distinctly.
it was rather vivid.
Yeah.
Ryve, if you want to paste your Discord link in the YouTube chat,
Sure.
and the Twitch chat, I'll pin those.
Sure.
Forgot to keep it on my clipboard.
Take it over. What's going on, man? How are you?
Welcome on in, everybody.
Yeah, good to see you. Dick hands, forever a meme.
Oh yeah, I know how it happened. Well, it started on the previous Revelations, and then right before somehow well, not somehow, but I brought it up, and then when he was the guest on the next episode, that was the first segment, and it was a good time. We had a good time on that show.
Who's on the screen? That is Ryve Genesis. He's got his own YouTube channel. Talks about Ash's creation. Does his own podcast on Saturdays, most Saturdays. Never mind. Okay, we got there.
All right, HD, welcome on in. Relation, Vale. I'm not gonna. We've discussed this enough already. Yes, sir. All right, we have a lot to discuss today. We got some plans. We got some plans for you guys. Hope you guys enjoy the show. And I'll try to have some timestamps if you're watching this at a later date. Because this is a pretty rare opportunity where we have a actually, you know what, let me just go ahead and do our proper introductions, and I guess we can go ahead and get started with this. I just want to make sure that's good to go. Okay. Make sure we're on Twitch. Good to go. All right. You ready to start?
I'm ready. Get it done.
Ready?
All right. Are we playing Fall Guys today? Wasn't on the agenda.
My wife randomly asked me about Fall Guys last weekend. She's like, "Hey, can we play Fall Guys?" I'm like, "I'm a little busy right now. We haven't played in like 3 months."
All right. All right. So let's go ahead and get this started. Let me turn the music down. All right. Wildfire, welcome on in. All right. Welcome to another episode of the Voices of Verra with myself, Nyce Gaming, and Is There No One Else as per usual. And of course, you, the Voices of Verra. Today, this week, we have a very special guest. A lot of you already know, Mr. Ryve Genesis. This is a good opportunity for you guys that don't know. This is a fun opportunity to discuss and do things a little different. So a lot of you have asked about our guild interview series that we were doing and wanted us to bring that back. And what I really like about today's episode is that we get to talk with a fellow content creator that makes really good content and a leader of a guild, Ashes of Creation Guild, the Genesis Guild. And so, of course, we'll be talking to him about, maybe content creator stuff or basic Ashes stuff, but a lot of the stuff with that guild and give a good guild interview. So really hope you guys enjoy seeing both sides of that, kind of two birds with one stone here. So without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and introduce Ryve Genesis, and of course make sure you follow him. I got him tagged in the title on YouTube. You guys know how to find this guy. I'll just let him go ahead and introduce himself, and then yeah, we'll start getting into the guild stuff.
Yeah, Ryve Genesis. I've been making YouTube content for a couple years, mostly on Ashes. I had some periods where I did Throne and Liberty for a while, Pack Stay for a while, but right now I'm back to fully to Ashes, and because it's the game that's upcoming that's interests me the most, certainly in terms of MMOs, and MMOs are definitely my main thing, as is the case for you guys as well. So I've enjoyed making content for this game, but I'm so ready to make content for the game because it's all
Yeah.
speculation to this point, and I'm ready for that next phase to start here pretty soon.
For sure. Yeah. So Ryve, obviously, he's a content creator. You guys should go check him out, like Nyce said. And you are also a guild leader. So you're a man of many hats, and you're also wearing a different hat. I'm sorry, I had to do that there. And no, but if you wanted to just briefly start off, talk to us a little bit about your guild, what your goals are. Like, if it's world domination, that's cool. You don't have to tell us your plans, but just kind of like an overview of what you guys are and what you're about.
Yeah, Genesis Guild is something that I decided to do after a lot of people asked me if I was going to start a guild, in my community. And I tried out a few different guilds over the years that were Ashes guilds in waiting. And problem I had with a lot of them was, even though some of them were really good people, it was just very inactive and not a lot of structure and not a clear plan. A lot of them weren't recruiting. And I've led guilds before. It has been a while, but I've led guilds that were extremely successful in some previous games. In fact, probably the most successful guild I was in, I was not a leader in this guild, but I was an officer and shot caller, was a guild called Unlimited in 2012 at the launch of Guild Wars 2. And we were the top world versus world guild at the launch of that game. And so I've always gravitated towards competitive communities, and it's very rare to see a competitive large scale PvP community. Those are they've all faded away because there's no large scale PvP that's really doing well these days.
Sure.
So I'm trying to bring that back. There's some other guilds that have that similar mindset, but they've been around a lot longer and have a lot more people than we have. But that's what I'm trying to bring back. Although it's difficult to balance with being a content creator, but this game is so complicated that you have to delegate, you have to have good officers, and that's the plan eventually, to get all that in place to where I can do both to some extent. Now, when I started the guild October of last year, it did set me back in terms of videos. My video production went way down because it is a serious guild and we are trying to be competitive. So it has set me back there, but eventually it'll pick back up on the content creation side as well.
Nice.
That makes sense. Yeah, like just getting the structure set up for getting your officers in place, knowing what everybody has to handle. That sort of organization takes time. It makes a lot of sense. And yeah, as you get better and your officers are, you get the amount of people that you need in order to cover everything you want to get covered, it starts to, take things you have to do off your plate so you can do other things. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Sure. So, how many members are you guys currently at in the Genesis Guild?
we just hit 100 Ashes members, and
Wow.
we're close to 60 with Alpha 2. So for a guild that started in October,
Yeah, that's a
pretty
lot.
good. That's pretty good. So
That's
I've
really
compared
efficient.
us. I'm a spreadsheet guy, and a lot of serious guilds, they have a lot of spreadsheets and stuff. So I've got
Yeah.
spreadsheets kind of tracking our growth in comparison to other guilds, and we're doing good. We're up there in terms of our growth. So
That's awesome.
of course you
That's
can
really
grow
quick
too
progress.
fast and like just throw numbers, just grabbing everybody that's not what we do. I mean, I do turn people down. We interview every single person. Well, I interview everybody that wants to be in the hardcore chapter, right? So I've got a hardcore chapter and a casual chapter. The casual chapter
Sure.
just has to fill out an application.
Mhm.
Hardcore chapter, I do interview them as well as the application, and their application is longer, and I do turn some people away, for sure. And a lot of people don't want to do the application; they don't want to show up to the interview. So a lot of people don't make it in that regard. So it's not just everybody that comes in my Discord, is in the guild automatically. There's a process, but it's not as strict as some guilds. But my experience with these types of games, and I played a lot of Arcade, and I was in a competitive guild in Arcade and an officer in that guild. And that was the remnants of Unlimited that fell apart in Guild Wars 2. That was a very dominant guild. We went into Arcade, and we didn't have enough numbers. And unfortunately, the Korean style MMOs, kind of like this is, you do need
Yeah.
numbers. I hope it's not just a Zerg fest, but I do know that you
Yeah.
definitely need numbers. So we're trying to throw as many numbers as we can while still trying to maintain like a family atmosphere as well. Hard balance to achieve, but we're trying to do that.
I will
Very hard balance to achieve.
Yeah.
I will say I think it's honorable that your privacy as far as who you accept and decline in your guild, like how good that is. Because Nyce told me like 2 months ago you shot him down, and like you haven't brought it up once. It hasn't. Sorry.
What?
No,
Yeah.
it's really good that you didn't expose Nyce like that. So we really appreciate the privacy.
Man,
And
he gave me feedback though. He's like, "Hey, I checked your resume. I
Oh, you
saw
got
your
feedback?
videos. I saw your clips." Oh yeah, he said, "Hey,
Oh,
I saw that clip you got. It took you too long to kill those guys. Took too
yeah,
long. We that's not what we're looking for right
tank
now."
things. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Nyce has
Oh,
a standing invitation to Genesis Guild whenever he wants it. I know he's in a guild, but I've seen the
I am not in
1vx
a guild. I am not in a guild.
videos, and hey, Genesis Guild we have a spot. Just so happens we have a
You
spot for
had
a
me. You had me at. You
yeah.
watch my 1vx videos.
We have I have a specific spot for the best 1vxer in Genesis, and you could fill it for me. So
There you go.
and we got Richie, so you
Yeah, see,
could
that's why I
become
haven't joined. You got Richie in there. I'm playing Richie. Richie.
Oh man, it's
Oh.
too bad you laughed right there. We could have totally taken that clip out of context
Oh,
and sent it to him.
oh yeah, we should just kept that
Just
going, just like
yeah,
an ongoing meme. I mean, and
yeah.
then at
Fuck
the very
Richie.
last second before I hit in, just like, oh, by the way, Richie, I was just playing. So we're gonna chat. What we're gonna be doing, and once again, I see all you guys' comments. Gonna try not to, interrupt the conversation with Ryve too much, but I do see the comments. Really appreciate you guys being here. We will trade Richie for Nyce. That one I had to read out loud.
oh man, hey,
Congress Paul, let's go. Shout out to
making
him.
some deals over here.
Let's go. Oh, we're gonna have a guild draft night. It's gonna be awesome. Okay. So we're gonna be going kind of back and forth. We're gonna have some guild questions. We're gonna have some, content creator / Ryve specific questions. And the next one I want to talk about is something you said at the beginning of this stream already, where you was like, used to cover Throne and Liberty, and you feel like Ashes is gonna be that one. It seems like the most anticipated one to you as well. How long have you been following Ashes, and what do you think is gonna? I mean, you don't have to choose just one thing, but what do you think sets it apart?
The following Ashes part, somebody from Unlimited, the guild that I'm going to probably reference a lot because it's
Mhm.
the guild that I was in that was the most competitive and was the top guild in Guild Wars 2 at the beginning. Sent me the video. that they had in like early 2017 before the Kickstarter, and it was interesting, but it wasn't much. It was just a demo. And so
Yeah.
I started following it, but I did not really follow it like I did religiously after kind of around the Lazy Peon video, like everybody says, right? I would say somewhere around there, and then the Asmongold interview and all that popped off. That's kind of when I started kind of following it much more closely because it was starting to look like a game at that point.
Yeah.
And early on, it was just a asset demo, pretty much, is what it looked like.
Sure.
And I didn't do the Kickstarter or anything like that, and obviously I regret that now, but I did buy the Alpha 1 pack. When those packs, the first pack that went back up for sale, I bought that, and then I played Alpha 1, started kind of making content in Alpha 1, and it wasn't very good. My early content was extremely bad. I had no idea what I was doing. But eventually, after Alpha 1, I've slowly started to get better and better with it, and enjoyed it. I enjoy speculating on this project and this massive game. The reason I would say it has potential to be, for me, it's my number one upcoming MMO, and
Oh yeah.
for a while I had PAX Day at number 2. I don't even know where to put PAX Day anymore.
Yeah.
My hype has fallen so much for PAX Day. I still
Yeah.
like the concept of it, but it's a distant second or third. I don't even know what I'd put it second though. But
Yeah.
Ashes, just to me, and I think it's because we know so much about it and they're very open. There could be some MMO out there that's in development that is amazing, but we don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
The Ashes, the concept of it, I've always loved like Korean MMOs, Black Desert, Arcade, a lot of different
Yeah,
ones
but
like
look
that.
how quick they got Black Desert out there though.
It's true. They did. They got that out super quick, man. Yeah. It seems like
2
every time
years,
he
right?
said that, it was,
Took
yeah,
2
it was
years.
2 years. Next time he says it'll probably be 6 months. It just keeps going
Oh
down.
my god.
So I love the Korean style MMOs, but the pay to win and
Nice.
the extreme grind is always what was the turnoff for me.
Mm.
And pay to win is gone. We'll see on the grind part. And then it's a Western MMO that's well funded. We don't see that a lot either. And so
Yeah.
that's another thing.
Yeah, that's something we talk about a lot. Like Steven's not exactly answering to a board of directors, or he's not getting pressured by EA or Ubisoft. Or like, hey, but how can we monetize this more? Just rush this out. We'll fix it later, kind of Amazon style. I want to catch up with the Voices of Verra really quick before I pass it to you else.
Sure.
We had someone say it was Mad Skills, and thank you again, you guys, for the follows. I see those. Appreciate you guys so much. Mad Skills says, when will this game come to console? I wouldn't predict the console release ever, like literally ever. Personally, unfortunately. Mia Nokoi says, did you guys make it to office hours? I was only able to listen to about 3 minutes because I was at work, but I'd like a summary. If you guys did attend the office hours today, I did see some stuff in the Voices of Verra Discord, some people saying what happened and everything. But if you guys can give like a little summary of what people's feedback was for the office hours, they typically always do them while I'm at work, so I can never join. But yeah.
Yeah, I try to tune into those as well if I could put an earbud in and just listen, and I couldn't get to it today. But yeah, if you guys are interested in joining our Discord, there's conversations going on there. There was like 2 or 3 people that were listening in, kind of talking about it in our Discord. If you guys want to join and provide Cliff's notes of stuff that happens there in case we don't catch it, that'd be cool too. And yeah, I would like to hear more because that stuff's interesting to me. So
yeah. How many developers have such an open development where they would do something like that, even if like we don't see some feedback directly implemented? Like, how many devs? Let's just pull Thorn and Liberty out of the hat. Like, they're not exactly sitting in Discord. So, what do you guys think about this? And like, you get to talk to someone that actually works at the company and give your feedback in a verbal sense, not just only forum posts, but you get to talk and have a back and forth with the community. Like, I think that's what builds that sense of community. I dropped into someone's stream. Ironically, it was Blue Squadron. Shout out to Blue Squadron. So I dropped into his stream for the first time, and I had to tell him he's become one of my favorite Ashes of Creation content creators.
Yeah.
And he was talking a while. He said, it's interesting how they like how we have like such a community and the game's not even out yet. And I was like, you know what? You can look at that as like a positive thing. Like that's actually impressive. I remember before Throne and Liberty even released, I don't remember any sense of community before that game. And it's crazy. And I think you could probably attribute that to Intrepid themselves, how they've garnered a community, a sense of community and the game's not even out yet. We're in Discord talking all the time. We're theory crafting. We're doing this podcast, before the game's even out, and everyone pretty much knows each other if you're like a frequent chatter. And I don't know, it's a really good feeling that you don't see with too many in development projects, much less something that's actively out. So I don't know. I think that's impressive.
Yeah, so Ryve, I wanted to get your opinion on this as well, because we talked about this last week. Nyce and I participated in the most recent PAX Day Alpha, and we're not, bashing where they're at in the game or anything like that, but it's a different feel of coming from like playing the PAX Day Alpha and getting excited for Ashes Alpha 2. And I think a lot of it is due to their open development and how they've cultivated a community over the years to a point to where you have a guild, and we've talked to 4 or 5 other guild leaders in the last year, Nyce. And so there's multiple guilds out there already formed before the games come out, excited for the game. You have this development team that listens to feedback. They provide updates on a month-to-month basis, and it's just like, although everybody is waiting for the game, it's not like most people aren't very anxious. They're like, when it comes out, I'll be excited for it. I'm excited for everything now and hearing about everything now. But yeah, like I'm enjoying the process, and I'm kind of enjoying the community because there actually is one, which is very surprising.
Yeah, I think just knowing the vision, right? That's with PAX Day. I don't know where they're going necessarily, right?
Yeah.
PvP, like where are you going with PvP? They haven't really been clear. I mean, we know exactly where this is going. We know it's probably going to take a long time, but we know what the plan is. And if you've read through the wiki and you kind of understand the game to at least some kind of a level, you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of these other MMOs, you don't. The Riot MMO, who knows what that is, if it even exists, right? So this game we know. And for me, I like open world PvP. That's my thing, and we don't get that these days, really, right? I mean, you've got a few games that do it to a degree, but the player bases are usually fairly small. And it's always the developers it's never the priority of the developers. Like Guild Wars 2, I played a shit ton of back in the day, and still occasionally go back and play it, but World versus World doesn't get updates at all, right? And you guys played ESO. I played some ESO, not a tremendous amount, not as much as you guys, but the Cyrodiil, I'm sure it doesn't get a lot of updates. That would be my guess, right?
That's a good guess. Yeah, you're spot on with your guess.
Yeah. And that's
there was that one update back in 2017.
The hammer came out in 2019?
Yeah. So don't talk crap about it. They took care of that PvP player base before,
Yeah, a half decade ago, a whole president ago.
Oh man,
that's the thing. And like Ashes, it's built around that, right? So it's always going to get the updates. It's always going to be taken care of, and so we're finally getting that as PvP fans.
Yeah. That actually brings me to my next question. I was going to ask what your normal MMO game loop is and what you see yourself doing in AOC. I know you described open world PvP, but what do you predict, based off loosely what we do know? What do you think your end game is, and maybe even what your profession will be?
Oh, the profession part is tough without knowing a lot, but for me, PvP, if there is PvP, a lot of these theme park MMOs, don't have great PvP, so I'm forced to do some PvE and things like that. But PvP and economy are always kind of my areas I've gravitated towards. And the main reason the economy part was brought on by a lot of times PvP focused players don't earn as much gold income, right? So we have to find other ways, like flipping on the auction houses and things like that to get enough gold to continue to buy what we need for PvP. So I've always enjoyed the economic aspect of MMOs, which is another reason I'm excited about Ashes, because I think the economic aspects could be some of the best really ever, because they're combining like EVE Online and Star Wars Galaxies, which had some really interesting economic ideas as well as Arcade, combining some really good ideas from each of those, right, into what could be probably the best economic system really ever in an MMO. So it's really those two things, PvP and economy.
Yes.
Profession, I'm kind of leaning towards processing just because they've said that's the bottleneck, right?
Yeah.
And so I think there could be some
That makes
potential
sense.
to make good amount of gold there potentially. And
Yeah.
also as a guild leader, I'm going to probably fill in areas where we need people, right? To some extent. So
Ryve will have a freehold. You guys heard it here first.
yeah, I'm pretty
And
sure I'm going to have a
everybody's invited?
freehold. Yeah.
Everybody's invited, right? That's what I heard.
Yes.
Need a
Well,
roommate?
there's going to be some things on that freehold that may not be fit for public consumption, but
That's fair.
Sold.
some of my sponsors might be there, but it'll be a good place.
Yeah,
Hey, I'm always down for some hot dwarves in the back of the tavern. Oh, I'm sorry, Else, you had something?
no. Yeah, no. I am. I'm just gonna not say anything in silence for 10 seconds so people can hear about hot dwarves.
No. I thought we were just gonna speed past that, but
Okay. Well, I mean, they got small legs, so they can't go very far very quickly. So, but yeah, what I wanted to kind of piggyback off that, Ryve, is obviously Nyce and I are PvPers, and sometimes I like to try and attempt to check myself, right? Because I know that a lot of what I think is basically based around who I talk to, and a lot of the people I talk to like the same things I do, and you sometimes find yourself in an echo chamber, right? We haven't talked before on this type of case, and so obviously you're heavy into PvP as well. Do you feel the same way we do about the potential incentives for PvP and Ashes? The fact that, like, every theme park MMO I've played, it feels like, yeah, I want a PvP. PvP is fun, but there's no real driving reason to play it other than I like PvP. Whereas in Ashes, it's like, okay, there's reasons to actually PvP in Ashes. I get to take out enemies of my potential node. I get to make gold, like you said. There's actually incentivization of the system that I like the most. Do you feel the same way, or do you disagree? Or
No, I agree. It's built in, it's ingrained into it to where you have to some extent participate in PvP to get places, right? Whereas in other games, you're forced to do PvE to do PvP, which you are in Ashes as well. But in this game, if you want a PvE, you're going to have to at some point PvP. If you can't just go in and just PvE. So since it's so ingrained into there, I think that's a huge incentive. And obviously, yeah, you have to move the materials around. The trade packs basically from Arcade are built into the caravans to where those are a great gold maker, right? So having PvP sources of gold, obviously gold is always a huge incentive for MMO players. Yeah, I think the incentives are there. They're a bit more natural and organic than just, oh, we're going to give you some PvP currency because you did this, right? And so that's a nice change.
Incentivizing PvP is something that I think perhaps drew me to Ashes of Creation the most. Like, I hate being in some instance-based thing where I go fight other people because we all agreed, like, hey, we're gonna PvP each other, and it's okay. Games can be as simple as, hey, I'm doing this activity because it's fun. Because I mean, that's what I do on games right now. Like, oh, PvP because it's fun, but is it meaningful PvP? I had this conversation with someone the other day. It's like, there's a difference between meaningful PvP and just fun PvP. Meaningful PvP, I'm gonna not have to PvE, all the time per se to make gold. I can attack a caravan. I can run caravans. I can escort a caravan. Maybe the bounty hunter system incentivizes me to be one. There's a lot of different things. Maybe I need to PvP because I want this name drop out of this dungeon. And, these guys are getting all of our drops. This other group is here and they're taking, only it's a finite resource like Steven was describing. And maybe you want a PvP to get those guys out of that territory. And there's so much that comes with that. So having a reason to PvP is it's different. It's different.
Yep. Yeah. Like what you said earlier, Ryve, about economy and everything. I'm a huge fan of playing the economy in a game when the economy is good, especially like if the PvP is good, then the next step is I need to have a steady gold source or resource source to where I can continually come out with the best possible gear every time there's an update for PvP. I need to fund my warmongering essentially. And so a system that incorporates both is very tough. There was a point in time in ESO, we're long past this point, and it's not bad. I mean, it's just 10 years into the game, but there was a point where you were progressing, along the path, and as you were progressing, it was like, oh wow, I'm gonna need gold for this new build. I'm gonna need gold for this. I'm gonna need gold for this. And now it's a little bit easier to get your hands on everything because the game's just older and more mature. But at that point in time, PvEers made so much more gold than PvPers. Like I made nothing.
Yeah.
I actually lost gold spent like actually PvPing in that game to where I either had to learn how to do trials and get in there and get the top tier gear, or I had to learn how to merchant and go and find, lower priced gear and then price it appropriately and make, be the middleman and make the proper profit on that. So I found myself spending hours doing stuff I didn't want to do in order to do the things I wanted to do. Would you say, are there other games in the MMO space that you felt are kind of similar like that, or ones that are different?
Similar to what Ashes is trying to do, or
sure, yeah, like which ones are kind of similar to what I'm talking about, and which ones kind of were separate from that?
Yeah, for me, like most of the theme parks, ESO, Guild Wars 2, WoW, they were all kind of that way, where PvPers income, gold income, and rewards were always pretty menial. You almost were forced to do PvE if you wanted to have a relatively decent amount of gold. The only games I would say that, gosh, I don't even know, like Arcade to some extent, but I mean, Arcade, you still had the PvE a lot. I mean, you could do trade packs and you could fish, which are basically PvP activities, and you could get a ton of gold in Arcade doing that. So I would say Arcade is in many ways the most similar to Ashes.
Okay.
So I would say Arcade. I did not really play a lot of Lineage 2, but obviously Ashes is kind of based on Lineage 2 as well. And Arcade was based on Lineage 2 to some extent as well, but maybe in that game, but I don't know. Throne and Liberty, it's in the same vein, but you have to PvE in that game. It's the same thing, right? So there's really not very, very many games. I mean, Arcade is the only one that, at least that I have played, that you really can make a lot of gold PvPing. Trade packs were a fantastic gold source. And a lot of times you just run the trade pack and don't PvP anybody. So it's just running simulator. But, there's fair amount of PvP. And if you just wanted to run around and kill trade packs, that was a great way to make gold too. So.
You make Arcade sound very fun. I don't have time right now, but I think in about 2 more months, I think I'll be free, and I think I'm gonna go give Arcade a try.
We're gonna be in Ashes. Hopefully, we're not in Ashes by then. But
I think Arcade will be Ashes by then.
Yeah, no, you're true. That's true. It is shutting down, isn't it? Yeah, I mean the only way. Yeah, I mean there's private servers, but both of them have problems. The two private servers. So.
I did try to play Arcade. What was that, like 6 months ago? There's just no population. There's nobody even in global chat. And I was like, I do want to play this game for PvP, but if I'm not seeing people talking, I know I'm not going to find people to fight. So and so that was the perspective I had. I was like, this doesn't seem like I would love to give this more of a shot, but I played like 2 hours and then I just called it quits. So I wish I could have played it when it actually had a population.
That's the problem with it. Yeah, it's not fun at all without players. I mean, it requires players. So it's there's no way to really enjoy it now. You just have to watch videos basically at this point.
I tried Arcade Classic when that released the private server, and I played it for 2 days, and then anytime I tried to log in after that, it was just like so many things I had to download, and it was just so many issues. I was like, that's not worth it. So
yeah, there was some weird stuff with that for sure. Definitely.
So I wanted to talk to you about guild structure in a sense. So during the recent stream, and I'm kind of roughly paraphrasing, and maybe you can help me out with this, but Steven said something along the lines of, when it comes to guild powers, like basically you're going to be able to like organize your guild, like separate tiers within this guild, and people, however you want to designate it, and these, let's say, upper tiers, like you're going to be able to choose your officers, like they're going to get actual stat bonuses. So you, Ryve, can be like, all right, Richie, you're in the rank right under me. You're gonna get that 5% crit chance, which is something that's very interesting. And then he also gets 10% armor, and then the rank right under him probably gets like plus 3% loot RNG, and then everybody else, let's call them the peons, or the base level of the guild entry or whatever. They're not going to get that. How do you feel about stat-based benefits for being in the upper echelon of a guild? And do you think this will or is intentionally designed to cause friction?
I think it is designed to cause friction. I think some guilds are going to try to split up, to try to have more people that can get those upper echelon benefits. And I think we're going to at least attempt that in Alpha 2 to see if it works. And we've kind of drawn up some diagrams and some plans for how to do that already. But obviously we don't know until we get in there. But I like the idea of trying to even the playing field for the smaller guilds. The numbers would have to be big to make it worthwhile for the smaller guilds to actually be able to compete. But I played probably the first MMO I really sunk into was Dark Age of Camelot, and I had to play on somebody else's computer because at the time I was in the military and I was broke. I grew up in a pretty poor family, so when I was in the military and I was broke, but I played on my roommate's computer, and he had a group that was really good at Dark Age, and they kind of showed me the ropes. And in that game, like 8-man groups could wipe 50-man groups, like routine, kind of like what you're doing in your videos, Nyce, but with like 8 people instead of 1. But
Nice.
and it's I loved it. That was some of the best moments, in my gaming career. I've tried to go back and play Dark Age in the last few years, and I can't because it's just terrible, because your memories are obviously a lot different of
The nostalgia.
the nostalgia. But modern MMOs, they give you so many ways to get out of CC, and to they've capped AoEs. Like that in Dark Age, they had no AoE cap. CCs lasted like a minute, some of them, and things like that. So if you landed a CC on a big group, you could AoE a big, huge group and kill them.
No
And so
way.
I hope there's things like that, not to that level, because that's ridiculous, but I hope there's some ways to level the playing field out so it just doesn't become a Zerg fest. And that's one thing, is the guild perks, and then but within the combat, build some stuff in there to where smaller groups can do some outplay, can have that outplay potential. I think you brought that up in the AMA.
I was just about to say that was literally one of my AMA questions.
Yeah, with the time to kill or something like that. Yeah. Or was one of those
will
questions.
Would a smaller group have a chance against a larger one?
That was his link up question. He stacked the 3 or 4 together to get all of them. So
that's true. I remember that.
I asked 5 questions. I don't know what y'all talking about.
For the Voices of Verra here, Richard says this class passive skill ranking existed in Lineage 2 and generated quite a lot of conflict. Yeah, I completely agree. That was a great post. Me and Burns talked about this last week, about this potential guild passive, and Burns brought up the point of, hey, what this could potentially create, like you said, Ryve, like you already said, Nyce as well, is you could potentially have groups of people basically mercenarying themselves out. It could get very cutthroat. Like, hey, we're really good at PvP. Give us your highest ranks. Give us your best passives. We will crush for you. Like, you need to give us this stuff. And if they don't get those things, they could leave to go to another guild. They could just say, okay, well, if you're not going to give us the best passives to PvP, we're going to go somewhere else and get the best passives, and then we're going to come kill you. And so it was kind of interesting. Like, you look at it as like a, almost like a professional sport where you're going to have really good players kind of jockeying themselves in those positions. The other way I personally looked at it as well was it incentivizes guild participation. The way I see it also is, not that that's wrong. That's absolutely right. There will be some people that do that, but I think there will also be groups of players that will participate in a guild and they'll go, man, in order for me to get, a 20, let's say hypothetically, a 20% damage guild passive, I need to be like one of the best members in the guild. I need to have guild leaders recognize me. I need to participate. I need to be a big, impactful member in order for them to give me these things. And so I think oftentimes in other games we've played in the past, people will see guild tags dominating, and they'll want to join for the guild tag so that they're protected. And they'll just say, I have the guild tag, don't touch me, you're going to mess with my guild. But they don't actually do anything. They're just there for the tag. Now, this is basically saying, yeah, you have the tag, but you can also get more if you participate. And I think that's a really cool mechanism that Intrepid brought forth.
Yeah, I haven't thought about it in that way, but that's true. Because, and I've said this to my guys as well, is like, if you're one of those guys that is not social and you never show up to anything and you're never in voice chat, you're not going to get much from the guild. Like, it's a meritocracy based guild. So it's merit based. So you've got to contribute. You've got to, if you're one of our best PvPers, guess what? You're going to get gear really fast, because we need to get those guys geared first because they're more effective with the gear, right? So everything is merit based. If you never show up, and then all of a sudden you show up and you ask for a bunch of gear and you're never participating in anything, you're not going to get that. And the perks are part of that, and gearing is part of that, because we're going to have obviously a primary crafter for each profession. So this people have to break out of that mold, right? Of a lot of the current MMOs, especially in WoW, right, where it's just, you don't really have to play with others, really, right? Until in game. If you want to participate in the high end in game, that's it. Other than that, you don't have to really talk to anybody.
Yeah. We was just talking to Else. This was like a little bit before you jumped in voice chat last night, but I was talking with Viral, and we were talking to somebody in chat that's kind of new to WoW, and they're just like, "Oh, I like that. I don't have to, talk to nobody. I don't have to be social." And obviously, this person's really young, right? They're not like an old school MMO player. But WoW even has the thing, I think, where you got the companions, where like you just bring AI to complete dungeons with you or something like that. Basically, he just liked all those solo features. He liked being able to play solo. And then somebody else that was in our voice chat was like, "Hey, that's not the point of an MMO. Like, you're going against, that goes against what an MMO is supposed to be." And they were saying they look forward to Ashes because of those social aspects kind of being brought back to the front. Something I do want to ask, what do you do right now to really engage your members? Like, do you guys have guild nights? Are you playing other games? What are you guys up to?
It's a great question. I think that's a challenge for every guild. Of the guild leaders I've talked to, it's challenging, right? Because we're all waiting for Ashes. We've had moments where we got a little inactive, but in the last couple months, I've made a point to make sure we've always got something going on. Right now, we have a V Rising server. It's slowing down because a lot of people are getting finished with it. But before that, we had the PAX Day test. We probably had 30, 40 people, going pretty hard in that. With Throne and Liberty test, we had 30, 40, 50 people in that. I pulled some people from some other guilds in. We had some people from Dunehold in there. We had some people from Equinox in there with us. And I think, there's a couple other guilds that I can't remember. But yeah, I've tried to bring in other guilds as well to try to boost our numbers for things. Because, in MMOs, obviously, you need numbers. So we've got our meeting every month that we do. I do a topic of the week every single week, right? Some of them are like stupid long because I'm kind of verbose and excessively verbose when I type things out, but just going over kind of the guild plans, and also like, what are people's plans for what they want to do in Alpha 2 and in Ashes, just to try to get engagement in different ways. Some people want to engage through text. Some people want to engage in voice chat. I try to be in the voice chat as much as I can, because that's one thing I noticed when I did a little guild tour trying to find a guild for myself, is most guilds were very inactive and nobody was in voice chat ever. And so I've tried to change that with this guild, and it's not easy to do. It takes time commitment on my part, but I would say honestly, and maybe I'm biased, I compare ourselves to a lot of other guilds because I'm in most guild discords, and I would say for our size, we're more active than most, for sure. And
Nice.
And I've got some people that have helped me a lot with that. It definitely is not just me. So there's been times where we've gotten very inactive, but I would say in the last couple of months, as we've headed closer to Alpha 2, I've really made a point to push us higher on the activity level. And I think that's important. I think you've got to learn your people and stuff, and people can lose interest if you're completely inactive. So
yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I agreed with everything you said. The only thing I disagreed is that you're coercing with dwarves, but
Yeah.
I mean that's
Yeah.
just a me thing. I totally understand, but yeah, outside of that, everything you said was great and it all makes sense. So
Yeah, they asked me if we're going to be a dwarf guild because I think they want to ally with us, but it's like, I think I put a poll out and dwarves, I think Junior got like third, maybe second or third. So sorry, Dunehold. I guess we can't be allies because we're not dwarves, but
I'm gonna be banned from Dunhold. I know for a fact.
Richie
Terrible.
said, "Join Genesis, the nicest guild around."
there it is.
Well, come on in, Richie. We've been saying nothing but great things about you.
Yeah, we haven't said anything bad at all.
Yeah.
Don't
always
go
nice
back.
things.
Don't rewind. That's not allowed. Always look forward. Keep the past in the past, Richie.
That's right.
So what do you think about the upcoming stream topic and what are you expecting? I think we have Node Wars. Like where are you
man.
at with that?
Dude, probably the most excited I've been since like, I don't know, nodes or something like that. When they said they were going to show nodes, I'm like, oh shit, we haven't seen nodes in forever, which it was a little bit of a lackluster stream, but yeah, the Wars stream, very excited about that. I was excited about Caravan PvP too, but we've never seen Wars at all.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I'm super excited about that. I suppose you guys are as well.
Oh yeah.
Dude, yeah. I want to say Burns and I talked for like an hour. No, Vladis and I did on Friday. We talked for an hour, I think, about nodes, about Node Wars and what the implications are. It's very, very exciting system for, how to destroy people and, be enough of an asshole that you have people destroy you. Yeah. And like, there's just all sorts of fun implications with it. So
I got something I've had on my mind in this little sidetrack, but in terms of nodes, like you cannot declare a node war on a vassal node, right? So I always felt like the most friction within nodes might be within your neighboring nodes, which are your vassal nodes in most cases. So not having the ability to declare war on those nodes, I think potentially takes away some potential for some interesting drama to develop, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that could always change too, but because like the way they've set it up to where like wars between nodes are going to be between nodes that are pretty far apart because it's like vassal chain versus vassal chain type situations, which could be good, but you may not be interacting with those nodes as much. So maybe you don't have a lot of reasons to be angry at them. That's something, it's kind of a video potentially I'm working on at some point, but I've always wondered, that's something when you read through the wiki, you're like, because I always felt like, drama within people you're around the most is what happens the most, right?
yeah.
See, that's what I expected. I expected to see a crabs in a barrel mentality when it came to neighboring nodes. Maybe you don't allow them to attack the metropolis, but I've always expected like, maybe you want to get to that stage 5 node and maybe there's like a 4 and a 3 right here that's like fighting to be second biggest node in the area or something like that. When you take away that will or that ability to attack a node that's next to you, you don't get that civil war, you don't get that friction, you don't get that crabs in a barrel mentality I talked about. Like I feel like obviously all subject to testing. I want to test as is, but just looking from the little bit we know on paper, it seems like that's a missed opportunity not allowing that, but we'll see.
Yeah. We talked about this a little bit and I definitely see both perspectives. It's one of those like we'll have to get in and test to be really sure, but my perspective on it right now is a little bit different than your guys's, where if you're vassaled, like you've had friction for a while, you've already lost. Like that's how I'm seeing it. So like you've already had this potential discourse, you've had your chance to fight. You got vassaled because the other node was better than you. You can choose to leave that vassaled node and go fight if you just don't want to work under their rule. But
true,
the moment you get vassaled is when it's kind of over. And so all that time before that, like level 1 node, level 2 node, however long it takes, like you have your chance to be the node and you just failed. And so my only concern, and this is my counterpoint, and I'm like, guys, I'm like 55-45 on this. I can go either way about whether or not vassal nodes should be sieged or whether they should siege. But the only thing I could see as well is like this is a PvP style game. Like you're gonna have some PvPers that are assholes, right? And so imagine like you're the main vassal node and you constantly have this one node sieging you over just like constantly, and you're like, dude, I won. Like you guys are below us now. Like you're done, and they're just constantly just peppering you. It's like it almost goes against like the entire PvE build up system in some ways. And so, and I don't know for sure, but that's how I'm kind of seeing it right now personally.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think, yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm kind of like both siding with it. It's just on paper. I just feel like it you get more conflict that way, but maybe the game has enough conflict, and like you said, maybe you should reward, the victor being the metropolis or whoever is at the highest stage. I don't have a link to this message, but I'm going to pull it up on stream here. Make sure you guys can see Discord. So, and we talked about this after the last time we had the conversation, but I just wanted to bring it up for chat since it's relevant.
Yeah.
This topic was brought up, and Steven said, I know you guys can't really see it, so I'm gonna read it out. Vassalship is the risk of losing the progression race. Once that risk becomes realized, loss, the subjugation isn't all bad. It provides a framework of cooperation and benefits for all involved, some more than others. And I think there he's talking about, node superpowers kind of, going to your vassals as well. And then he says, and the pathway to revolution lies in other node networks. Drop citizenship and go Braveheart mode. Now, I think that's a good quote from Steven, but this last sentence here, what if you already have your apartment? What if you're already set to, you're already settled in? This is where you and your guild settled. You pick this because it has the best view of the mountains, but it's also near the coast. It's a good neighborhood.
Are you real estating this discussion right now? Is that what you're doing?
Like not too many Tallnar roaming around, bringing down the property value. It's a really good neighborhood. Zero dwarves,
Yeah.
Why should you have to drop all this that you have invested in because you're not satisfied with this node having only made it to stage 3 or stage 4? You got to go drop this, literally sail across the ocean so you can get out that vassal network in some scenarios.
Sure.
The tavern is raiding.
Let's go.
Yes. Let's go. Welcome on in. Thank you so much, Chibi and Vertec. Really appreciate you guys. I'll kind of recap this, but we're talking about vassalship and stuff like that, all that good stuff. So why should you have to sail across to another continent in some scenarios?
Right.
Just to rebel against your neighbor. Like
you got to run away just to rebel. Yeah.
To me, that's like something lost in concept, but I get it.
Yeah.
It's so weird. I don't want to both sides it. Thank you for the follows, guys. I don't want to both sides it, but it seems weird on paper. Once again, once we get in game, this is probably gonna make sense. But when we see revolutions in movies, when we seen revolutions literally in real life, you didn't leave your land, join another land to go rebellion. You want that land. You want to kick the next guy out so you can envelop their power. You want to rebel. When I first heard about the node system, I was just thinking rebellion against oppression, no taxation without representation, throw the tea in the water, all that good stuff. And then once I learned that you can't, pretty much fight your neighbors, I was a little, I was like, oh, I gotta see how this works out,
Yeah. When I first read that too, I was like, everything around this game suggested there was just constant ways to conflict with everybody, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's a limitation here that I wasn't expecting. I don't know. It could easily be changed, right? So that's not something that I'm too worried about.
He did say it was subject to change. Yeah, he said that. I should have showed that message too, but he did say they will, like most things, obviously, right? But he said they will test it and can iterate on it.
Yeah, I really do see both perspectives. I see both points of view, and I look at the vassalship currently and more as like, okay, you won potentially a months-long squabble. Your right to winning means that they're, not that they're your bitch, like, but that's the first thing that comes to my head. But it's like you're vassaled. You are now, you're below the main node, and so now you're more in a team effort. And people, not everybody in that node is going to be against the the main leading node. You might be, and so I could see both perspectives. I definitely see what you guys are saying as well, and so it'll be really fun to test. And I very well could change my opinion once we start getting in there and being like, yeah, we should have a little bit more freedom here. It's not really fair for an entire group of people to be subjugated like this. We should have a chance to fight back. So,
random tangent. Two things. First
Perfect.
off, whenever you guys type vassal, I need you to put a capital L at the end of it, because if you've been vassaled, it ends with the L, capital L. Anyways, I wonder how's this going to work in Alpha 2? Like, if we have just the Riverlands or maybe Riverlands in the desert, like, how is that really? I'm assuming there's going to be different rule sets initially. That's what I've always predicted, is like, they're going to tone things down. How many nodes is going to be in the Riverlands? How effective can we test these systems with not as much space initially? That's something I've always wondered, how that's going to work out until we get like a larger landmass to play with.
Yeah, and that's something that if there's only the Riverlands, if you've got 85 nodes and there's 18 biomes, that means how many nodes in the Riverlands? Like 4 or 5 maybe is what should be there. Maybe. I mean, it's a bigger than average zone, so 5, maybe 6. Wouldn't they all end up? Most of them end up in like one vassal chain.
See, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I think there's no way they don't do different rule sets, right? I mean, are there even going to be? Yeah, I guess that's like a cross that bridge when we come to it kind of thing. But that's something I'm curious, because I don't expect Alpha 2 to launch with, or even like 2 months into Alpha 2 for us to have this huge landmass to where there's all those conflicts. And I know the Riverlands is huge. It's a huge world, and the Riverlands itself is huge. So I'm also thinking about stuff like trade runs between nodes and how many enemies in this one congested area. I think that's the word I was looking for, congested. Like, how congested is the world going to feel, even though, the Riverlands is huge? Like, how many people are we going to have per Alpha 2 server? Like,
that's a huge question.
Yes.
Yeah, like, how's this going to work with the node war system, with the vassal system? How much is going to be online? Dude, these are questions. You know what? I wish I had gotten the opportunity to ask Steven some of these questions. If only I had
If only you had 20 more questions.
Yeah.
I was going to ask that one. He wouldn't let me squeeze it in there.
17 nodes per vassal chain, but that's if we have stage 6 nodes.
Yeah.
And we only have 5 at the start of Alpha 2, stage 5 nodes.
I think it was stage 5.
Yeah,
I just remember Metro not being available.
The server size question you guys brought up is the biggest one that I have, because you want to make sure, like for Alpha 2 testing, that the server is the same size as what it would be when it goes live. So if you have, 10 to 15,000 people in a live server, 10,000 up and playing on this size map, you need to make sure you have the same amount of people that would exist in a node area or within like one biome, to make sure that you're getting the proper testing. And that'll be interesting, because obviously it's at a much smaller scale. And so how big are these servers going to be? Are they going to make sure to do that? Or are we going to be packed in there like sardines? Like, so.
Somebody, Pogger said, "Nice, you already asking double questions." You know what? Y'all going to stop giving me crap for that. I did that for y'all. I did it for the people.
Hey, dude, I was loving it. It's like, dude, fucking get them in there. Get more in there.
You guys, I did it for you guys, and because of that, I'm no longer invited to things in the future because they don't trust me now. I did the sacrifice for y'all. I wanted to get y'all the information, okay?
Dude, hey, somebody's
Why
got
is
to
everybody spamming triple? You know what?
Guys,
I'm asking 3 questions next time. How about that?
Okay, no, I want to clear the air here, guys. He did not do a triple question. Okay, Nyce did not do a triple question. Get your facts straight. He did a quadruple question. He got 4 questions in one question. So if you're gonna slander him correctly. You're welcome.
Yeah. Dude, he did it. I mean, I'm all for it, because Steven will dodge so many of the questions, man. If you get 4 in, there's at least a chance one of them will get answered.
Oh, yeah,
my accuracy stat was on point. Okay, can I get credit, chat?
Oh, it was so good. I'm giving him shit for it, but it was great. I'm glad you did it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he said he wanted it
So,
to be a conversation, so it was just a conversation that was mostly questions.
Yeah, with a
Yeah.
lot more questions.
and it's crazy. It's crazy. I think one of mine was like follow up, maybe two with follow up, but the questions that I did ask were in the pre-agreed to questions. It was just like
Yep.
it was a two-parter. It was a
So
two-parter.
Yeah.
Richard over here, Nyce, says hero of the people. So it's not everybody giving you
Yeah.
shit. Just so you
Yeah,
know.
no.
Well, to be fair, everyone that's been giving me shit, it's been positive shit, if that makes sense. So I do like that. It's kind of funny.
You guys got to be a little bit more negative. You gotta work harder. I'm just kidding.
Oh man. And Nyce we trust the quadruple. Man. So we are approaching the 1 hour mark. Before we do close out, I want to maybe get to like one or two forum posts, maybe.
Sure.
I didn't have any pre-picked, but I saw a lot of so in our Voices of Verra Discord, we pre-post like some planned topics, usually, typically on non-guest weeks, of course. And there is 3 laughing emotes on this one that you posted, and I wanted to start with that one. It's
yeah.
and here, and if you want to read along instead of just watch it on stream, Ryve, I'll go ahead and put it in our chat, and else you can probably grab it there more conveniently too. Oh wait, yeah, there it is. Okay.
So I will say that I read the original post and I was like, okay, this might be something we want to talk about.
Perfect. I have not read this one, but I did see the laugh emotes. Oh, it's from Verjao. Nice. All right, so here, let me make it so you guys can see it, chat. There we go. Ryve, can you like move? Like you're literally blocking the whole post, dude.
Put your head
You're
down.
literally. Let's crop this. Let's shrink Ryve. Gosh. All right,
You just make
Ryve
me
with all his
transparent.
food buffs. Actually, here we'll oops, god dang it. There we go. Something like that, and then we'll drag Ryve somewhere. You know what, Ryve? I want to be closer to you, dude. We need to
Hell
get
yeah,
closer.
buddy.
There we go. All right, and let's make it full screen. All right, Else, you said you read this one already?
Yes.
All right, so this is a post on the forums from my bro Viajero. I think I always say Verjao because I don't, because English be hard.
Cavs fan.
This is titled Hypothesis Confirmed. The real reason why PvE players don't like PvX for AOC. Eureka. What an enthusiastic title. I love it. Okay, so he starts off by saying, seriously, if they add PvE only servers, is this the original post?
I think he's quote tweeting it. I think he's quote posting, responding to this.
Oh, okay.
So he found this and is responding below.
Okay, gotcha. So, all right, I'll read that. Okay,
Sure.
so it says, seriously, if they add PvE only servers, who the F does it hurt? All the sheep who don't have much fun in PvP will go there and leave the skilled players to make things interesting. Same with unrestricted free PK servers. If people want that, awesome. It doesn't affect me or what I want out of the game. But if it nets a whole new audience and revenue stream that would otherwise be put off from investing, sounds like a win to me. So I guess this is where he responds. He says,
yep.
Since some time ago, I was trying to get the truthful information about why a large majority of PvE players do not like the idea of a PvX for AOC. I tried several times with several comments, ideas, memes, and things that made them discuss about it, but nothing gave me the result that was needed until yesterday. To get such a pure information so personal and so intrinsic in the style of playing a MMORPG, you have to let things flow at their own pace. Do not force the answer, but rather let the answer flow by itself and let the same PvE players who complain about the future PvX give the answer for themselves with their own words. And then there's a quote here. I guess this is, the vast majority of PvE players have the wrong idea of what PvX is in AOC. They need to be educated. They need clear information so that they themselves realize that PvX is a great help to them. We should not leave our Care Bear brothers alone. They are very necessary for the growth of AOC. Adopt a Care Bear and educate them.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the
What
comments are what
thoughts,
you'd
Els?
expect.
The comments? Oh, man. I see Flanker says, it amuses me that some people come to a PvX game with open world PvP and demand to make it PvE while also breaking the core pillars of the game and game systems and mechanics. Am I missing something? There is a very obvious solution to find a PvE game and play it. This is that normal talk we see around the community, you know, like those games exist. It's a core pillar. This, you know, why look into Ashes if this is something that like turns you off, you know? See, Phantom says many PvE players don't like the idea of forced PvP. Nothing to do with PvX. Pretty good point. And of course, they will never create separate PvE rule set servers. Not only does it go against Steven's vision, but it would cause the original rule set servers to die.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I guess I wanted your guys' opinion on the OP for this. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you somewhere in the middle? What do you think? Because it's a little incendiary. Obviously, he's targeting some people.
Yeah.
But yeah, just wondering if there's any truth facts in here or not.
I'll lead this one. I like what he said. Adopt a Care Bear and educate them. So that's me. That's literally me. I'm. Can I step up on a pedestal really quick? I want to step up on the pedestal. So that's always been my thing. What I've been trying to do. Not even lately. I think just all the time. As a Ashes of Creation content creator, as just a person. You guys know I love PvP. Oh my gosh, who's seen that coming? I do. I like PvP in games, but I like PvE. I don't like putting myself in a box as a PvPer because I like doing both.
Yep.
I'm actually enjoying Albion Online right now, and I haven't even gotten into the PvP, which is funny. But anyways, I say that to say this. I think we should all adopt a Care Bear. I always look in the interest for the players that are looking into Ashes of Creation, but don't necessarily want a hardcore PvP experience. When I was invited to the AMA, everyone assumed like, oh, he's gonna have PvP questions and PvP this. I think I had one PvP question. I could be wrong. And I think I had two questions, or at least one. I can't remember my questions right now, but
1 out of 10, yeah.
I like pretty much the experience with stuff relating to dungeons, or like I'm more interested in the PvX stuff and what's being done about this. I have been on the record stating that I want corruption to be so penalizing no one does it twice.
Yep.
And that's all subject to testing and everything like that. But when I say that, I mean I'd rather err on the side of like we get into Alpha 2 and I kill Ryve and then I'm just sitting there regretting it for the next 6 hours. I'm just like, that was not worth it. That killing of Ryve, that teabag was just not worth it. I'm over here still farming hours later. Steven, I get that we had to have it being penalizing, but can you please, trying to turn a notch back? I'd rather have that than for us to like launch with something like, oh, I killed Ryve. All I gotta do is go kill these 4 goblins and hey, I'm back in the saddle. So that's always been my mindset. And the thing is, I don't think you should revolve everything about, well, the PvEers, they're the one that carry the population, et cetera, et cetera. I think you end up with New World where you're kind of trying to please everybody or just focus too much on the PvE and you realize the PvEers are the ones that's running out of content and leaving your game. PvX, PvP, Node Wars, these politics, these systems, those are people that's going to stick around. And I also say that to say this, and I will say, without those people being happy, we do end up with a dead game. We do end up with less population. And so I've always been the one, I want to protect those people. One of the most exciting systems, actually one of my first videos was actually on Bounty Hunter. Like that is something I'm excited to do. I'm excited to hunt corrupted players. One thing I want to pass this to you, Ryve. I just want to say one thing. One thing that I would like to see from this Ashes of Creation community, from all of you listening, all of you watching, excuse me. One thing I would like to see is that we stop this separation of PvP players and PvE players, PvE purists, the Care Bears, if you will. I do not like that. Every MMO that I played, not that I've played all the MMOs in the world since 1999, but I do not like that separation. I don't like when developers separate the PvPers and the PvEers. Else, I know we've said this probably a million times, but we've seen it in ESO where one set is overperforming in PvP, so it gets nerfed, and now the PvEers are mad at the PvPers, or you see it happen vice versa because it's overperforming in one area. One of the questions that Steven answered for me early on stream, it got selected for the submissions. And it was actually about the tank, but they approach everything holistically as a PvX game. They don't do something for PvE then try to balance it for PvP or have a separate rule set. They approach it holistically, and that was one of my concerns. Like, how do you make a tank useful in PvP? And they talked about taunting and how you make it in threat, all that good stuff, and how you make it useful. And to me, that's important. I don't want to see a divide in the community. I think we all need to just say PvX, and I think we all need to just understand that this is the game that we signed up for. Don't kickstart this game. Don't buy an Alpha 2 key. Don't have bought the Alpha 1 key, beta, whatever. Don't do all that and then try to change the game or be disappointed and complain about what you signed up for at this point. Let's stop separating the communities, stop splitting the communities, and let's just try to tackle this head on together, and then worry about balance at a later point. Like balance the corruption, balance all that, but understand that these are the systems that we're getting, and there's no way around it. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, no, you said it. I mean, for me, I think you can be a PvE fan and want to go into Ashes and do mostly PvE and have a good time. But I think to do that, you're gonna have to make friends with some PvPers. I think that would be helpful, anyways. And so that that's going back to my guild. That's kind of my goal, is to bring people in, and I have some people that are very against PvP. They're in my guild, and I've told them, like, you're in the right place because we're gonna have some good PvPers to protect you, and you can do your crafting and do your PvE. And the game could have very good PvE. It remains to be seen, but
yeah.
And so to experience it, though, you'll need people around you that can PvP, that can craft and do the other things as well. So that community aspect, going back to that's what it's all about. So I think I don't think it's just PvPers that can enjoy this game. I think even the PvE focused can get in there and have a good time.
Yeah, I agree. So Nyce, are you gonna step off that soapbox so I can crawl up there real quick?
Fine.
No, I completely agree with everything you guys are saying. I do have a few things I want to chime in with here as well. I personally, there's a few things that we need to understand when we look at this entire perspective. Is Ashes set Kickstarter records with their idea for what their game is. Like everything, their core pillars, everything they've done, they set records there. There are over 100,000 people signed up for Alpha 2 for this game because they're very excited about what the direction of this specific game is. And so I think we need to keep that in mind. Like there's so many people excited about this game. When you go look at the bigger content creators in the MMO space and the video game space, everybody's looking at this game and following updates when it comes out because they're interested in this core philosophy of what the game is. And we have to also acknowledge that it is a smaller development team. It is a much smaller development team. They just hit over 200 people, 200 developers, 2 months ago. And so the idea of running a PvE server and then a PK free server and then also your normal rule set server, you're splitting and dividing this team in a way that like they just can't maintain it right now. And even, I mean, Nyce, you know this, but in other games that we've played where there's different rule sets for different PvP zones and everything, you have your no CP Cyrodiil, you have your CP Cyrodiil, you have your no CP Battlegrounds, you have your no CP Imperial City, you have all these different rule sets. It's tough to try to come up with rules that work for every single zone that you're in when you're doing those things. And so when you look at this, it's like, yeah, they could potentially do PvE servers, but then you're watering down what the actual topic of the game is. And so I want to come forward and say that as well, is like, yeah, like if you are one of those players, and Vladis and I talked about this on Friday, but if you're one of those players on the polar extremes, PvE and PvE, if you're a PvEer and a death in PvP is going to turn you off from this game's not for you. If you're a PvPer and you want full loot, always on PvP, and you want to bully low-level players, this game is also not for you. Like, this is not the type of game that they're going to cultivate for their players. And going off of exactly what Ryve said as well, you're going to need to work with these other players. We're all PvX players in this game. I am more PvP focused, but I need to cultivate relationships with crafters and other people to give me the top tier, to like, hey, I will protect you. I will do these things in return. Like, I want the top tier gear so that I can compete better and protect you better. And this idea of like living in a bubble, like, yeah, I'm a PvEer from WoW, and you know, I'm gonna work only with PvEers, you're gonna get freaking steamrolled. It's not gonna work. Yeah. And if you're like, oh, I'm a PvPer, I'm a hardcore PvPer from Albion, and I'm gonna go do some full loot shit, you're not gonna have the gear to compete at a high tier level. And so these being able to communicate and work with people in the community is really, really important. And so I just don't. I can't stand the PvE and PvP debate in this game. I really can't. We're PvX, and the fact that we're PvX means we all fall under the same rule set, which means we all follow the same game, which means we're all under the same umbrella and we're the same community. And I really like that.
Here, I'm gonna catch up with the Voices of Verra here.
Sure.
Vertec had something to say. He said, I'm a PvE lover, and my fear is that I won't be able to experience the PvE content outside of questing. I think that's a fair concern.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's a fair concern. He also says here, my whole screen just jumped for some reason. Oh yeah, here he is. He says, Nyce, let me ask you a question. Would you only marry someone that was 100% perfect, or would you marry someone and see if you can help grow and mature out of the I just want to slap people that say something unintelligent while we're at a coffee shop?
Did you just get a proposal?
I think that's what's 48? Happening.
You got proposed to?
Oh, I wouldn't need someone to be perfect to marry them, but yeah. Hold on, let me keep going here. Thank you for the follow, Co-Stark. Welcome on in, buddy. Vertex said, if you love it, help it succeed. Don't love it for the obvious points of the potential. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just trying to make sure we didn't miss too much. Someone said something here that I wanted to for sure. So I think, well, let me just summarize it. I think Vertec brings up a good point. There's some people that are going to want to do certain dungeons, but they're not going to be able to because maybe a certain big guild, you know what? The Genesis guild is locking down the dungeon. They said no Vertec allowed.
That's right.
You know, and
that's what they were trying to do.
That's going to cause conflict. Vertec just wants to
no Vertec.
No Vertec. Like you want to experience that content. Maybe it's a story arc that unlocked nearby, and because that was completed, a certain cave opened up, and it's a dungeon. And Vertec hasn't played it. He wants to play it. He wants to experience that content. But whenever he goes in there, there's this group that's just attacking him. And, you know, they go purple, they attack them. It's like, okay, do I not attack back and lose all these materials I have on me? Do I make them go corrupted, or do I fight back so I lose less? It's going to be a really uncomfortable experience. I think in Ashes, it's got to be super guild heavy. I think you roll deep. I don't think you roll solo. Not saying that that's what Vertec was implying, but I don't think you roll solo and try to do that content. I don't think you even adventure solo. It's going to be very rare. I think there's going to be some things that you're able to complete solo for sure, but I think if you want to avoid conflict, you want to be with a big group. And whether being in that big group helps you overcome and beat the other group, or being in a big group keeps the other group from attacking you, because there's going to be some groups, like say you roll in there with a group of 8, there's a group of 6 in there, farming. They're probably not going to want to risk that, you know, there we go, the risk versus reward. They're probably not going to want to risk that fight. But they see Vertec coming in there solo, 6 of them are farming for this legendary bow. They're like, bro, can you stop messing with our drop rates? Somebody get this man. And someone said something. I wish my screen jumped as I started reading chat. It was so weird. But someone said something really cool, and I'm gonna know it when I see it. I'm scrolling. Here it is. It's from Nibiru97. Care Bears need to stop asking for PvE servers and ask for a harsher corruption system instead. I like that. That's kind of like what I said earlier. Like I want a harsh corruption system. Harsh corruption doesn't fix everything, because you know there's still other systems, whether that be objective based or, you know, consensual, or rather, you know, purple v purple, to use a loose term. But harsh corruption to keep the ganking away is, I'm always for it.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, this will be one of my more incendiary things to say, I guess, but I've said it before, so I'll say it again. The people that quote unquote PvP and all they do is just beat up lobies all day, they're not PvPers in my mind. Like I don't view them in that vein. They're basically just attempting to farm salt. They're just being assholes. And
Griefers.
And yeah, they're griefers. And my perspective on a good PvP game is when you're actually having meaningful combat, challenging combat with groups of similar competency, where they can kill you, they can wipe you out. That's the type of PvP I look forward to. And so for me personally, I want to make sure that if somebody's trying a new game, like, you know, if Ryve and his girlfriend or wife or whoever, like, they're like, hey, best friend, like yeah, both of them, they both, and so he's juggling that entire process, which good for you, man. But regardless, like, he's trying to help them out. I want to make sure that they have a good new player experience. Yeah, they might die occasionally. They might get killed in PvP for whatever reason if they engage in a system, but I want it to be actually fun to where like they can enjoy the game before they just get bullied out of it. And so high corruption rules are very important to me as well.
Yeah. I got a hot take, and someone in chat said something very similar, and that I don't think there's going to be a lot of PvP. I think it's actually going to be the opposite worry. I think all this like over worrying because of what potential lies in Ashes iteration, I think it's going to be the opposite. I think that we're actually, you know what? I'll say it. I think there's potential for there to be complaints about not enough PvP. I could see that being an argument. I could see an argument. I think the corruption one's obvious. I could see some people complain, oh, just because I killed that guy and I'm corrupted, I got to go do it. Yeah, it's supposed to be penalizing. You don't want to reward people for doing that. But I also think there's going to, besides caravan runs, maybe, and even finding those in this large world may be rare. But I got a feeling that just PvP and finding PvP, if anything, maybe it's a rare thing and you don't run into that. Maybe when you roll into a dungeon, everyone's so nice, everyone's trying to complete that content, just like Vertec is. And it's not super common that people kill you just to hog all the loot by themselves. They just sit there hoping to get their RNG drop off that loot table. And I'd like to think most players are going to be of the nicer mindset. And we'll see. It's a social game. It's a sandbox, right? So we don't. This is all literally speculation, theory craft. You know, this is all we got until launch. But just a thought that there could be a possibility. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I've always kind of
dungeon size. Penham said that. I forgot that was one of my questions. That it's gonna how Steven talked about that. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I've worried a little bit that there might not be enough PvP, and I know that's crazy because there's so many PvP systems. But what Jimmy brought up in the AMA of having a PvP zone, kind of like in the oceans where it's just PvP, you know, no corruption. I would love to see like some objectives in the open world that you could capture. Like, I mean, I'll use New World as an example. I don't usually use New World as an example, but I don't know what the current version of New World looks like because I haven't played it, but I know they did have some open world PvP objectives. You had the flag to go capture the little, or they're like little castles or whatever in each zone.
The forts.
The forts, yeah. You know, something like that would be cool to have, just so you have a few more things. As if there's not enough PvP systems in the game, but that's one thing I always like about like Guild Wars 2, ESO, the Cyrodiil or Daok back in the day was there's always an epic like castle siege going on at any given moment, right? Whereas in Ashes or in Arcade, you had to wait for the siege, you know, that was scheduled, right? So it'd be cool if there were some objectives like that in the open world that were capturable.
Yeah.
And maybe give your guild some buffs or something like that.
Yeah, a guy in our Discord kind of shot me down on this because I'm like, Richard brings it up as well. The seas will be hell on earth for those that desire it like be. It's like, 2/3 of the map is the high sea. It's open sea always on PvP, no corruption. Like if you want your PvP fix, you'll probably get it there. And then people are like, yeah, but it's going to be really hard to like maintain and build ships. And I'm like, don't take this away from me, man. Like I want, like, and he's absolutely right. And so like, that would be my concern about that as well. Is like, you want to have that zone for people that like, if you really just want to loot and pillage and everything, like go be a pirate, go have at it. And so, yeah, I could see both. I could definitely see both.
Node and guild wars will have objectives. That's true, but only if you're in a node or guild war. But,
hopefully, in theory, there should be enough things to keep players from strategically PKing. You know, with all the things like Ryve was just talking about the guild or node wars, if you're in it, the open sea being most of the map, like El said, and then you got objective based things like caravans. You can become a bounty hunter. You can hunt the people that did become corrupted. There should be a lot, dueling, of course. There should be a lot of things, and I hate to use this term, but there should be a lot of things for PvP enjoyers to get their fix without just killing you while you're trying to just on the way to a dungeon for no reason. I just don't believe that that's going to be the reality in the world, that especially when it comes to things like reputation and stuff like that. I honestly could see, I talk about this a lot, but I could honestly foresee a scenario where I PK some guy, and I don't predict me doing this, but let's say I see someone and I know they've been out there lumberjacking for the past freaking 4 hours. I know they are holding some mats. They don't have a caravan, but I know they're out there. I know this spot and I know it's a grind spot. And I'm like, I could come over here and I could spend, the next hour or two farming myself. But this guy's probably been over here for a while. Let me see what mats he's got. And then I try to attack him and take his materials. Even that situation, I feel, is going to be rare. I just don't foresee it. I don't know, but
I'm gonna gank the shit out of you, Nyce. I'm gonna PK the shit out of you, just so you know.
Oh, you can try. you can try.
No, it's funny that you bring that up, because the closest thing that I think Nyce and I have experienced to like risk or reward PvP is Imperial City with Telvar stones. And I'll be honest, I watched this video a long time ago where a guy killed somebody in the sewers and got this metric boatload of resources off of them, Telvar. And ever since then, every time I would go down the sewers, if I saw some low level, I'm like, I'm sorry, I gotta kill him once. I gotta kill him once to make sure they're not a pinata just full of resources that I don't know about. Like, and I'll message them. I'll be like, hey man, I'm sorry, but I had to check. You enjoy your leveling, enjoy your farming, but like, you never know. Maybe they've been down there for like 15 hours and they got a ton of stuff on them that they don't know that they have. And but I know I will test in those scenarios where you're like, man, this is a remote area and there are a bunch of trees chopped down and this guy might have been out here for a while. Let's see what he's got.
Let's just take a shot in the dark.
Let's take a little peek.
I was and that's what I was kind of going with it earlier, where I was talking about like if I kill that random guy harvesting lumber, I was gonna say if I kill that guy, he's probably in the Discord server for that server, right?
Yeah.
He's probably on Reddit for that server, like, and he's gonna Nyce killed me and never, put a hit out on me, or I got a bad reputation. No one will craft for me, or they attack me first now because they know I'm a. Because that's gonna piss people off. You remember with the caravan stream after that, how people were just like really sad about the reality that, hey, your hard work is gonna potentially get ganked, so to speak. And so when you kill some of these people, depending on what they had on them or what kind of day they had at work, they're gonna get upset. They're gonna go in the forums. They're gonna go on Reddit. They're gonna go in Discord, and they are gonna go off on you. There will be reputation. Reputation in politics will be a thing in asset creation, and that's something we got to be prepared for. We ain't seen it in modern gaming in a long time, fellas.
Yeah, especially in your guys' case, in my case to some extent. We things we do will be documented a lot more.
Oh yeah. I have not looked at this game from a content creator standpoint. I rarely do, but that's a harsh reality too. Yeah.
I've already said it that I'm gonna do content based around corruption. You guys are free to hear this now. I will kill a couple of lobies that consent, that are okay with me stacking corruption, and then it will be a chase me around the map and get loot from me reward. And basically it's, yeah, you guys get to beat me up and take some of my gear, and I get to run away. And so I think there's some fun things that can happen from it. I don't think corruption is it's not the big bad boogeyman that it potentially could be, right? Like there's good things and bad things to it. And a lot, like, obviously there's a lot of bad, but there are some good. And I want to highlight that as well.
I want to give a big thank you to Vladis. Thank you so much for the $10 donation. Vladdy Daddy in the house. Let's go. He says, bunch of PvEers on this stream, especially Nyce. Hey, guilty as charged. I'm just a PvEer that's competent at PvP, I'm gonna be you. You guys gonna think I'm a Care Bear. I'm gonna be role playing on stream. I'm gonna be out there lumberjacking, just chopping trees, and then two people are gonna roll up on me, and they're gonna get X live, and I'm gonna upload it with like some hardcore rock and roll or something in the background, and then it's gonna show you.
ERP Xing, buddy. That's all we need.
Oh, role playing live and Xing people that's just like my dream.
So good. Dude.
That is my dream. Like staying in character. I cast fireball. You're dead. You're so please.
Smite you.
Losing a duel, like imagine you just lose a duel, like all right, GG, you type GG, and then you go back and you watch it on their stream, and it turns out they're role playing the whole time during that duel. It just hurts a little bit more, know.
Oh, yeah.
Like this guy killed me. It hurts more. Okay.
I was gonna say there's a Call of Duty content creator that pretends to be a wizard and kills people.
I see that. That's exactly what I was thinking.
So fucking funny, man. Every time I see one of those, I don't scroll past. I watch, and I don't play Call of Duty. So
I love that. Yeah, I saw that one. We are an hour and a half in. Ryve, thank you so much for being our guest. I would like to give a big thank you to everyone that liked, followed, subscribed, donated, everyone that became a channel member. Oh, and everyone that, as I'm saying this, gifted a sub. Thank you, Mia, for the gifted sub. Really? Oh, wait, more. How many did he gift? What? Yes, everybody. I appreciate all the support. Thank you guys so much. I would like to say thank you. We literally couldn't do this without you. We are closing in on episode 50, which is a big deal. We're closing on episode 50. That's a huge milestone. We may have something big planned for that. I will keep you guys in tune.
We're working on it.
We're working on it.
People say this. It might have something. It always is. So where there's smoke, there's fire.
It could just be a super long stream, But nothing set in stone, of course. So, but either way, it'll just be a fun episode 50. We're getting close to that. And once again, we want to thank you. We could not do this without you, the literally the voices of Verra. Appreciate you guys. And before we close out, big shout out to Ryve. I have him tagged in the YouTube title, and I think the YouTube description as well. He's in Twitch chat if you guys want to do that there, because I suck at, you guys can tell I'm new to Twitch. Thank you for the sub. Thank you so much, Grim. You guys can tell I suck at Twitch, but make sure you guys are following Ryve on Twitch. He streams Saturdays, right?
Yeah, Saturday night, 6:30 Central. It's when I try to do it. I'm going to try to get more consistent with it for sure. We're doing it this Saturday for sure. Yeah.
Nice.
And of course, Ryve is of the Genesis Guild. If you guys like what Ryve has been saying and how he's running things and his plans, be sure to it's pinned on YouTube, the Discord link, if you want to apply to that guild. And he recently shared a community post, which is a lot more convenient if you guys want to check out the community post. If you're okay with sharing a guild with Richie SH,
right?
If you can get over that, I mean, just think about it. Ryve's there though to kind of balance it.
Yeah, you got your yin and
slap
your
him
yang,
around when needed. No, I take care of Richie. When he gets out of line. So.
But really appreciate you guys being here. We're gonna call it here. This has been episode 47. Thank you guys so much. And is anyone else live in the AOC category potentially?
Let's check here
before we leave on out.
Did you have anything else to say, Ryve, about your guild? About anything else you're working on potentially?
No. I mean, yeah, I think I've said. I mean, join the guild. It's the best guild. So, but no, we're definitely recruiting. We need people. we've got some alliance stuff working. We've got a very active community, and even if you just want to hang out, we have people that do that too. There's a bunch of people that have just hang out for like 6 months now and haven't joined, so you're welcome to do that as well. So
Nice.
Awesome.
I'm not seeing anybody in the group or in the
yeah,
category.
me either. All right, we'll end it there. Ryve, stick around for a minute. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. And I'll try to have timestamps for the stream for those of you that are watching later. I'll try to get those timestamps tonight or tomorrow. It might take a little while because Ryve talks too much, but yeah.
it's true.
Thank you guys so much, and peace.
See you guys.
See you guys.